Well, good morning, you guys. My name is Denise Crawford, and I'm kind of the outsider coming in, okay? I'm actually from across the street in the College of Human Sciences in the School of Education. And I direct a Center for Technology and Learning and Teaching. And so Denise Crawford is my name, and I have had kind of a long established relationship with agronomy, our center in agronomy, and really working with the evaluation of the program. Okay, so you're going to see me periodically through the program today in two capacities. One, I'm going to try to share with you a few tips on being an online learner. A little bit different than coming to campus, going to a class, those kinds of things. So try to maybe give you a few tips that will help you in kind of planning this journey of completing this degree, because our goal is degree completion, okay, and to keep you on track to do that. So we found with just sharing a few kind of things that we have pulled from our research and telling you early on, this is what you need to be prepared for, it seems to work pretty well, okay? So that's going to be kind of part one. Then we will take a little break, and then I'm going to come back, or have you come back, and we will have what we call kind of focus groups. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask you a few questions before you start the program, so that, and Dawn will not be in here for that one, okay? And so you can kind of share your thoughts on some of these questions, and then that helps us kind of plan for the new group as well. Okay, so that's kind of where we are today. Maybe before we start, and I know you guys have probably done this, but I always kind of like to know who my audience is, just since it's a short one or a small one. Again, Denise Crawford, School of Education. My background is teaching. I started my career in elementary teaching, but now what I do here is I really prepare future teachers to use technology in the classroom. So my focus and research focus is kind of using tech in classrooms. Right? So if we could just really quick go around, name where you're from and what you do. Okay, and I know you've heard, but it will help you get to know everybody again too, really quick. So I'll start on my left. Hi,
my name's Eric. I'm from Sonoma, California, and I work as a viticulturist, asset manager for a company that invests institutional money in vineyards. So supporting the value of our investments.
Barry Christensen from Lime Springs, Iowa. Seed sales rep for Pioneer Seed.
Okay, great. I'm actually working with a graduate student in our program that used to work for Pioneer. I'm trying to get her finished up.
Shannon Schumacher. I'm from Northern Illinois, in a little town called Warren. I work in ag retail.
Okay, great. Thank you.
JP Pettyjohn, and I live east of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I'm currently working as a crop technology instructor.
Excellent. Good.
Jeremiah Kaufman, Southeast Iowa, Washington, Iowa.
I was just there for the tractor cake.
Really?
Yes. That is my deal in the summer. Is the
I'm glad you could provide that service.
I loved it. It was great. Great town.
Worked the past 4.5 years with crop consulting and sales.
Okay, great.
I'm Allison Ivey, and I'm from Manchester, Iowa. I work for Urban Food United in their product development.
Excellent. Used to teach in independence.
Very close. Hi, I'm Katie Cardigan. I'm from Columbus, Indiana, and I work with Helena Chemical Company as a growing precision ag support staff.
Excellent.
I'm Lauren Botine, and I work for DuPont Pioneer as a production agronomist at Cherokee soybean production.
Okay, great.
I'm Kirk Helberg. I'm from Mitchell, South Dakota. I work for EASF. And I've been an agronomist for 25 years.
Excellent. Well, good. Excellent. So diversity, right? In terms of backgrounds and what you're doing now and so forth. And kind of what, just so that you know, we've done a lot of evaluation of this program and stuff. And you're fitting into a program that I think can accommodate your needs really well, because it does, you know, people are coming from different backgrounds, different crops, different, you know, just experiences and so forth. So I think you're going to find a nice home here. So, well, that's just somebody who's here.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do first is I kind of split this information into three parts, okay? A little bit of background, a little bit about the online learning specifically, and then I want to give you a little bit about the program evaluation, specifically what we already know. And I think that kind of, you know, gets you out there and kind of hedging the types of experiences that you have and kind of prepare you for that. So as we start, you guys, I think this whole idea of online learning, it's very different, again, than face-to-face, but the value of it is actually what we have found in the research, and not just our research of this program, but online learning in general. Students will learn more as a result of being engaged in an online community, even more than face-to-face. I want you to think back to your undergraduate probably preparation, and that was more, I walk into a classroom, I can sit in my chair, you know, take notes, whatever. I don't have to have any engagement with a student in the class or the instructor if I choose not to, right? And but I go to class, get the information, and I leave. And so online learning, I think, will give you a different capacity to learn, because you're going to have others online with you, plus a pretty good chance that your instructor is going to be pretty engaged with you as well, because you can get a little bit more of that one-to-one time. So universities have obviously gone into the game of online learning, and Iowa State is no different. We're kind of known as a brick and mortar institution. You know, we've relied on students. The buildings are here. You come, get your education, and leave. But that mentality is really changing, and I think this program exemplifies kind of how it is changing and how we can still serve, especially the agronomy community, a lot better by having a program like this, because of the expertise that's in this building. And I know you agree they're one of the top in the nation. So why did you guys choose, and I'm going to change this question just a little bit. You guys, why did you choose Iowa State's program? And a lot of you are out of state, so you're coming from a long distance. You might have had another opportunity in Canada or the West Coast. Why are you coming to Iowa State?
I looked at what the different programs are, not a bunch, but the different programs are out there, and felt like the Iowa State program was most aligned with, you know, structured in a way that I could complete it, and and the content would be, you know, most interesting and relevant to what I do.
Okay, good. Others?
I got referred to by a seed guy that went through the program. Bjorn Nelson. You know him?
Yeah.
He's one of my
God
good
knows
buddies,
everything.
and he said, you got to do this program.
Oh,
I love
good.
Bjorn.
Yeah, it took him 5 years, I think
At
he
least,
said.
yeah.
And he would, you know, he managed a seed company, and he did just working all the time like me. And he says, yeah, I just had to take, you know, 1 class or 2 classes at a time, and it worked for him.
Good. Others?
For me, it was, in Canada, there is no online.
Okay.
Only brick and mortar for graduate degree programs.
Graduate degree.
And for me, they were too specialized, you know. And what I require for our institution is more breadth of knowledge rather than just depth in a single subject.
Yeah. And I think you guys are going to be an interesting group You're starting in the program. It's not like the program, I don't think, is making significant changes, but the faculty does understand that they have to, it's time to kind of change the curriculum. And we actually did kind of a study for them last year that from their graduates on, okay, what is this program not doing? And that still needs to do. And so that information has been fed to faculty. And so I'm looking forward to kind of a curricular revision. Don't panic. It's like if you picked it for what it is now. But, there's updates that are always needed, right? So I think that will help too. Any others specific different?
Well, I mean, early on in my career, so maybe 27, and I'm kind of in that period of my life where I'm starting to build a family, really build a great career. I love higher education, and just taking the time to stop and go back to graduate school is just not possible. So an online degree, especially this quality, just meant a lot to me. I can do a lot of work.
Yeah. I really like how you say the quality too. I really feel like, and I know we offer an online program in our area as well. And I think that's one of the things that you can say, even though you're getting an online degree from Iowa State Agronomy, I think the quality, the rigor is even or better than even coming to campus and having to, that commitment of, okay, I gotta move to Ames, I gotta move to that area or whatever to do this. So the rigor and the faculty make sure that is maintained. And so I think that's cool. So that's good. Okay. So I think as we think of online learning and kind of why it's popular and so forth, I think these are going to be, kind of things that you probably take for granted. But you guys, one of the things that, students historically is just the availability of the learning experiences. One, I know Dawn and myself, we're really very appreciative that you're here for orientation. And I know there's people on Zoom too. And so we really appreciate, even in an online environment, they can still come into this. But we do find that the students, we're starting to track kind of a little bit the students that come to orientation and how they progress through the system. And they seem to progress a little bit faster than others, and are doing it a little bit more timely. So I think spending the time this week at Iowa State, I think what's always nice too is you guys can say, I have at least been to Iowa State, right? I got a degree from Iowa State, so wouldn't it be nice to be on their campus a little bit and at least kind of know the environment and what it is. So I do, those availability of learning experiences, even though they're coming from here, they're going to be coming, in different ways. I think the next time they do have to come to campus for 594, right?
It's a requirement.
That's a requirement. So everybody will at least get here. And I think that's a good requirement because it gets everybody here. But I think you'll find, and you're working in tandem with them this week, that's a really cool experience. And it's kind of that midpoint in your degree program too. So I think that will be nice. The cost effective. You guys, I think you'll find that this degree program is cost effective for you. I know you're spending a lot of money, graduate credits and so forth. Hopefully your company in some cases might be helping you out with that. But again, I think you're going to feel like you have gotten the same kind of treatment that students who come to campus would be getting as well. So I think that's really, really important. And the learning outcome quality, you guys, it's at that point or it exceeds what we find of student satisfaction coming to campus. Okay, and that I'm kind of saying holistic. That is true about any online program. Not all of them, but a lot of the ones that have done the research is because people will say, oh, well, you don't learn as much in an online program and the quality's not as good. You don't get to talk to people. I can guarantee you're going to be very sick of talking to people in your classes because you're engaging all the time. Whereas, and again, when you went to class, you didn't have to talk to anybody because nobody ever forced you to talk to anybody. In the online environment, you'll see that is a little bit more engaging. This is just, you guys, Iowa State, I think, is playing the role of being involved in higher education, online learning, and I think it's survived. Again, I don't think without our online programs, I think our brick and mortar institutions, as big as we are, and we're not big as some, but you know, it's a different climate with working professionals and accommodating their needs, and I think that's very important. So,
well, and I could add to that. I help our on-campus coordinator, and I actually had to cover that position for a month or so because we had someone retire, and then Mary Ann started. It was a month, and I can tell you that not everyone who applies to an on-campus graduate program actually gets accepted and will start, because it's all dependent upon funding. If someone's got a research project and they have the funds to bring on a student, that's how this department operates. So,
yeah, exactly. And the funding is tighter, so it's just harder to get funding.
And it's
to
harder
bring
to get
graduate
in.
students on. Yeah, exactly. So what I'd like to do is just tell you a few things about the Iowa State program. Now Dawn is the know-all and be-all about everything with the program, okay? But from a program eval perspective, kind of what you can, what you will see. Reputation is highly important to people that come into this program. They feel like the Iowa State brand will be more valuable to them. Okay, so that you can take it for what it is. I would agree. As you know, the agronomy program at Iowa State, I didn't look that up before I came, but I think it's at least third. I think it's one of the top 3 in the nation. And so you know that the collective expertise and wisdom from the people that you're learning from is highly valued in the field. And so I think that's pretty cool. So reputation is important. It grows from the strong graduate program that already existed, okay? Iowa State traditionally had a large graduate program, or would be considered large at Iowa State, or in agronomy specifically. But what this has done is it's just grown it more, right? I mean, now it provides opportunities for people who can't be in this proximity to join this deal. I think this is one thing, and hopefully as you looked on yours, and I want to confirm this, Iowa State does use full-time professors for their instructors. If you navigate the online communities and the ones that you hear about and that are promoted and so forth, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll hire more adjunct instructors. Now, not that you get a few of those, because what happens is somebody gets a grant, they can't teach the course that they were supposed to teach, so you might get somebody in that course, okay? So I'm not guaranteeing, but for the most part, you have people that are, you know, tenure track, or they're full-time lecturers, those kinds of people that have made up the body of this department. And so I think that's very, very unique, because again, a lot of times institutions will put their name on an online degree, but they'll farm it out to other instructors to get the people through, okay? Iowa State does not do that.
well, we're using more lecturers, and we have a faculty list that people have professional positions in other places, but we've never actually used TAs. I mean, some people will say, you know, it's TAs that teach the classes, and that's not.
Yeah, it's not graduate
So I would rather-
students teaching graduate students.
Right.
So I think that's cool.
Excuse me.
Obviously, it focuses on you guys, the working students, and it really embraces this need to develop a quality program. You guys, this program, kind of the brainstorming of it started in 1995. So it's been around for a long time. I think you guys are celebrating
20.
your 20th year, right?
Yep.
It's the 20th year of the graduate program because it started in 1998 with the first kind of cohort. And what they have always done, and it shows because they put in this evaluation piece, that they always just try to improve the program. They always try to put in quality. So one thing that I'm going to encourage you is that you always provide them the feedback because they do look at it, they take it, and hopefully it improves for you, but it will also keep improving for the next orientation group to come the next year and so forth, those who start the program. Interaction and quality. So like I say, one thing that they do emphasize in the program, even though you're an online learner and you're going to be displaced somewhere else taking those courses, you are going to be encouraged to interact in different capacities throughout the whole thing. Okay, so that's one mindset that you're going to have to kind of get used to. Is I think you're going to have to get used to kind of checking in with things a little bit every day. Like you might do the basis of your program, and we'll talk about that a little bit. You might schedule, 3 hours on your weekend now. We have you, so. But you can't just, okay, I'm going to check in every Saturday because you're going to miss it all, okay? Online environments happen all the way through. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. Guys, this is really, really teeny tiny, but I know you have it in the handouts and things. This is kind of like that timeline of the program. What I'd like to do, though, is I'd like to give you a few kind of more fun facts about the program that's probably not in here and just that we have. Right now, you guys, through 2017, okay, because we collect data kind of on the year, we're halfway through 2018, but through 2017, we had 181 graduates from the program. Okay, so 181 have graduated from the program. There's about 287 or so active students. Okay, there's probably more students in the program than that, but 287 are really the ones kind of taking the courses and we're seeing them. Okay, now so that's another thing that I think in this program get used to. Some of you might be already, how many of you have already kind of taken class? Okay, so some of you have already been in a class. Okay, what you're going to find is you're not necessarily going to go through the program exactly with the same group all the time, okay? And you're going to meet up with students that you haven't met, but that's kind of a luxury of the program because that's how you make even more connections, okay? That's one thing that we want to work with faculty on is how to make sure that the students in all the classes know who's in the class. Because of that, we want to kind of know who's there and so forth, because you won't always be with your group around the table here today. There were 15 graduates in 2017. So you guys, every year, it's been about 15 to 20, maybe up to the 25 graduates a year, okay? The time it takes everybody is anywhere from 3 to 7 years, okay? You don't want to try to be that 7-year, right? You don't want to probably be in this for 7 years, but I don't think that's a bad stat. To me, what it says, it's like you shared, starting a family, you're going to get busy with kids' activities. The one nice thing about this program is the people who work in it realize life happens, okay? Things happen, kids change job, move, whatever it might be, okay? And when you need to take a break from the program, it's almost allowed, right? I mean, you just have to, okay? But you can jump back in. And so I think that's really important to remember that you can always jump back in. But the caution is that Iowa State does still, we have to play by the graduate college rules. And so if you don't complete, now help me with this, 7 years, 8 years?
They have, well, they tried to switch from 5 to 7, and then they
Yeah.
wouldn't take anybody past 7. Well, there's a lot of people that really didn't like that across campus. It wasn't just this. So now they're saying if you have a master's degree, up to 6 credits can be 8 to 10 years old. And
There you
yeah,
go.
so
So you get
I
a
help you
little,
navigate that if that were.
Yeah. you get to play with that a little bit, but do know that after a time, you can't come into this program, you know, when I got my graduate degree, I remember people coming back 20 years later, literally, and finishing up, you know, and thinking, well, you won't be able to do that, okay? So just kind of remember, you are on a timeline a little bit, and you want to do it. The data from this program, most people, I will say, the majority graduate in 5 to 7 years. Okay? So that 3-year, it's a 3-year design, but you really have to stick with it in order to do that 3 years. Okay, so just kind of remember, and that includes, like, I don't know if it's today or tomorrow, you'll have a discussion a little bit or meet about like your creative component, or at least start thinking about that. Seriously, you guys, that is the one thing in the program that can slow you down if you don't kind of start articulating that through, okay? And from the information that we gathered and so forth, just kind of keep that in mind. But again, as a result of feedback that students have given, because of that, there's things like a seminar and things that have been put in place to help students understand that quicker, okay? So just kind of pay attention to all that as they help you with that through the next couple of days, because I think, you know, I'm sure your goal is, I want to be done in 3 years, maybe 4 tops, and, you know, complete this so that I can kind of move on with it, right? So any questions about that? Okay. Okay, so those were just some of the others. You guys, one of the focus for this program, okay, they want to provide the best possible course experiences for you as they can. So they really do focus on what you are doing in every course, okay? And that's very, very important. They focus on engagement and interaction. They want to keep you engaged in the program. And so you guys, and this I know I won't, I could never offend Dawn because she's so nice. But there's your point person for engagement, okay? If, you know, questions, those kinds of things, make sure that you know, that's one of the top highlights that students say is Dawn's role in the program. Without her, this program would be very difficult. So don't forget that. You know,
Good or bad, doesn't matter.
Good or
Let me
bad.
know.
Yeah, you gotta let her know. Learning outcomes, you know, you're gonna get, you know, you will have a pretty good idea, and you see it online and so forth, what's expected and what you're gonna learn. Like I say, I think that's going to be to your benefit, because I think course content and those kinds of things are being kind of maybe addressed a little bit in terms of updating and diversifying, like, you know, the content that will be covered. Program support, the Dawns and so forth, and then the technology, okay? Technology, that's kind of my game in terms of not for this program exactly, but you guys, your devices and things that you will get the content from is going to be highly important. And they format it so that if you're out in the field somewhere and you're waiting for a client or you're doing something, okay, you could bring that something up on your phone and look at it. Or I can get into a discussion and I can type a message or something, you know. So I think those are things that the program has really thought about. You know, whether you use phone with my old eyes doesn't work real well, but you guys are probably okay. But a tablet, you know, that's probably the device of choice, just, you know, because it's easy. You guys carry them into your fields, into your laboratories, wherever you're going, you know. But keep that in mind too. It's always, okay, I've got 20 minutes here, I'm gonna check in. I'm gonna check in and see what's up there and what's happening, okay? Okay, so, okay, now your journey begins, okay? So, you guys, as you think about this a little bit, and without looking ahead, what do you think your challenges are gonna be for online learning? What do you, and it doesn't even have to be like that specifically, but what challenges do you think you're gonna have with this program? Procrastination, good, okay?
I know the biggest hurdle that I had, and I think I talked to you a little bit about that, is switching from undergrad to graduate thinking. A lot of it was black and white. What's the answer?
Yeah.
A, B, or C?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
undergraduate, and then graduate, it's tell me why.
Yes.
And explain yourself. It's a totally different way of thinking.
Yes.
But it's good. It's very
That's
good.
good.
That's the whole
Critical
point of it.
thinking, problem solving, yep, solutions, good. How many of you have undergraduate degrees in agronomy? Almost, okay. This is one thing that, and I think it's fine to share it. One thing that they say, if you have an undergraduate degree, the first half of the program seems a little bit, not easier per se, but familiar, okay? And then the second half is, you know, a little bit that, you know, because the program is structured for folks not with an agronomy undergrad, so they play catch up a little bit for some, okay? So you might think about that, you know, in your own, you know, that seems how it's kind of playing out. Good. What other challenges?
I think the interaction with the professor is harder online because you can if you went to Iowa State, you can go to the office hours and say, hey, I got this problem, and but you don't know when they're going to be there, or, you know,
Yep.
And it's usually on weekends when I get the help.
When you need the help. Good. Good.
The system itself, I mean, the review sessions in the course that we completed pretty tedious, you know, and I ended up just sort of abandoning them. I mean, other than for the tests and not compounding, but just another comment, the whole, you mentioned this, but it can't really be said enough, I don't think, keeping up with things, you know, the courses are dynamic and you know, everybody's busy during the week, and
Yeah.
you can do, you know, grade on all the tests, grade on all the homework, but if you don't contribute, you know, and you don't complete your reflections, those are, you know, they're weighted heavily enough that they start to add up, you know, and
Yeah.
these simple little things that are really, maybe, at least in my opinion, during the first course, meaningless in terms of my education, can, you know, shift your grade, which, you know, I guess it's good and bad. If you get them, you know, then you've got that automatic inflation of your grade that isn't necessarily a reflection of, you know, your academic learning per se. But,
And that's what, and even like little feedback like this, I'm listening to you guys, because actually this fall, that's one of our goals this fall is to have, we're going to have a session with instructors and faculty in the program and talk about feedback and how we can make it different and how we can probably make it a little bit more engaging for
Yeah, I'm
you
just,
know, no.
really giving you my takeaway. It's
Yeah,
not, I'm not judging it at all. I think,
Yep.
you know, moving into the next class, if things are worded the same way, I'll have in mind,
You'll have
you know,
what
what I
you
need to do. And,
Yeah.
you know, maybe I can
Yeah.
wrestle a little more on.
But I even hear like office hours and so forth, and this is kind of the ebb and flow of the program, and you know, as we bring in people but you know, even for an online course, there should probably be set office hours, you know, where students, and I do this, but I tell my students that I don't want to feel like the make-tag repairman. And not get anybody either, but you know, you have a set office hours, you just set it up in Zoom or whatever, and then you can talk to me face to face. No, you're in your den and I'm in my office or I'm at home or whatever, but I can do that. And you know, getting the instructors to maybe think about that and do that. I know some do, but some don't, you know, and how can we make sure that that happens? You know, or like these review sessions, they set them up. You can come if you want, you don't have to. So there are strategies to keep you so that you can talk. But I do know any of the instructors would talk with you in a phone call, in a Zoom session or whatever. So don't hesitate. And, you know, not to pick on Dawn, but if you feel like that's not happening, maybe tell Dawn or something, or even tell me, you know, that kind of thing. So,
I was just thinking, when I was doing my undergrad degree, where it helped me excel was having focus group, study groups, you know, so that interaction. But I'm a visual person, I'm not a auditory. So I don't know if reading, you know, some of these thoughts are going to be as helpful as like when somebody wants to diagram their thoughts. You know, that's the kind of interaction I know. Even for myself teaching my students, like they get tired of me always drawing pictures on the board, but I can't express my thoughts that well without some sort of visual aid.
yeah. One of the things that they build into probably some courses more than others are what they call kind of the interactive materials, the simulations, those kinds of things. That's one feedback that we get. It's kind of always presented a lot of times as supplemental material in the course, you know, like the readings and that are, you know, the main thing and stuff, but then they have these, what they call interactives. And those are, students say, though, don't skip those. Those are highly valuable.
Yeah, it'd be nice if I mean, again, only have a single course to base my thoughts on, but if those, you know, sort of extra things were not extra in the sense that you knew that there were going to be correlated with tests somehow.
Yeah. Don't make them extras, right?
Well, I
Just
mean,
make
they can be
them.
extra, but with the understanding that, you know, within these they're not really extras because there's going to be test, you know, questions based on the material you cover. Yeah. I guess don't make them extras is the right way to say that, but it wasn't really, at least in the course we took, you know, they were
Was it
sort of
503?
peripheral, yeah. I mean, you know,
It wasn't totally
I
clear.
did them because I was, you know,
You want to
hoping
learn
that,
this stuff,
and
yeah.
even in reviewing for the test, I would go back through every single one of the study questions, but the study questions didn't pertain to the test at all,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like wasting time.
I cringe about that
Sometimes
test.
it's all.
In the 50, I took 501 and there was a lot of stuff on the extra blurbs and the material that was on the test. And
Yeah.
he even said that in the syllabus that do all of those extras because there will be questions on the test.
We have definitely gotten that feedback from students that those, so I'm just giving you tips here. So those extras, don't forget about them. Those are the ones that, and those tend to be kind of the visual stuff, you know, the more, okay, this is what I'm watching this happen and okay, you know. all that
I
kind of
want
stuff.
to talk about JP's wanting to interact with other class members and stuff. In Canvas, they have this, I think it's called Big Blue Box. it's a feature that was not in Blackboard, where you can it's like a meeting feature. You can, if you're going to get to know people in classes, people that are in your discussion groups or people that you've tried classes with. I mean, that is a great feature for students to use on their own. Just say, hey, do you want to just talk about this? And you could actually get together with your classmates on your own as well.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully,
You have study buddies.
Yeah. Hopefully that kind of stuff will come out as well. And you do want to reach out to them.
I mean, I've taken several online classes, getting my 2 degrees so far. And I remember one class in particular was online. It was Introduction to Biochemistry and Organic Chemistry. And there was no study group.
Yikes.
It was awful. It was just terrible because you had an instructor, but he wasn't very responsive. And then you were just by yourself with a book. I passed it. It was really hard compared to, I've taken other online classes where you have a really good instructor who will do video calls with you, or you have groups you can kind of go and ask questions. And it was good.
Yeah. And I will be honest, you guys, I think you're going to see a variety of that in this program. We keep trying to help faculty to improve with the interaction and the feedback. Do realize a lot of times, because I even do this too with online discussions and everything, you put in your blurb and then somebody else does and reacts to, and it's Friday, the end of the week, and where's the instructor? Like, it's like, oh, Dr. Crawford hasn't said boo all week. A lot of times, I think you'll see that, but what we want to have happen is they do come into that discussion at some point. Okay. Now you're going to have instructors that they won't. Working on that, but one thing that I, even in my own online teaching, you guys, the minute I get in there and say something, it's done.
Because they look to you for answers, and discussions are not.
Yeah. So kind of give, again, I think all these instructors are lurking. They're the lurkers, they're reading, and and that's why I even like to just comment on here and there. But just kind of keep that in mind with the engagement and in the interaction. I think they want you as students to grapple for a while, and then hopefully they'll come in and kind of close it up. But it is a little bit different, okay? And I think we're kind of almost taught to kind of stay out of that conversation for a while. But I still think that they are there. They are, doing what you're doing. I should say too, just so that you guys know from the technology side, just do remember that you guys will be using Canvas, okay? You'll be using Canvas. We're finding that, I think that's working pretty nicely and so forth. But as an instructor of that course, I can check to see when people have logged in. I can see that Dawn hasn't been there for 8 days. Okay, so, and I, as an instructor, I do that. Okay, and so that might be something that you always keep in mind. And sometimes these guys, well, I'll just log in and log out. You can do that. You can do that because it's just kind of the metrics of it. But again, I think that's what's important. But again, if that happens, I would hope the instructor then, says, I gotta remember Shannon, I need to reach out to Shannon because probably in your guys' case, I'm just busy. I just had the week from, I had so much to do and I just haven't had time. But those metrics are there too, okay? Okay, so give you some tips. Now, whether you are this or not, okay? But at least it gives you an idea of, you guys, people that, and this is kind of research-based, people who are, have these qualities do really well in online, okay? So kind of think of yourself and how you align to these qualities. Okay, number one, self-motivated. Okay, my guess is all of you sitting here are that, because you wouldn't be in a graduate program if you were not. Okay, self-directed. Okay, now I think we've already had some interesting dialogue because you've shared, you know, initial course experiences, some concerns, all those kinds of things. But that whole self-directed, you guys, in this program, you are going to have to take charge of your own learning. Okay, you are going to have to self-direct that. You're going to get out of it what you put into it. Okay, it's not going to be that, you know, come to class, that kind of thing. That's why I say, you know, those little check-ins, those, you know, not to be just AWOL for a week, or if you can help it, that kind of thing. But kind of get it to be a part of your life, kind of each and every day as much as you can. Okay, discipline. Discipline might be like procrastinate. That I think you're going to get into an ebb and flow on now how you set up kind of your life and how you make time for work, family, and school. Okay, it's backing your persona. So how do you carve school out of your already very busy lives, professionally and personally?
I have a story. I have a guy who got in the program, and you know, when you guys fill out the pre-application, you tell me what you do and where you live and what stuff like that. And I had this one guy come in, and then he breezed back out, and he dropped his class, and come to find out, I said, and my question is, what could we have done better or different? And he's like, oh, I don't know, because I'm not only my job, I farm with my family, and I had some rental properties, and I just thought I could squeeze this in.
No.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know how you thought that.
The answer, and I don't say this to scare you either. You guys are going to be fine. You're going to be successful, but you have to squeeze this in. Like I just remember. I'll just use this as a personal example. I was finishing up my PhD, but I had a full-time job, so I was working full-time, and I had to write that dissertation, right? And so I would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I would write for 4 hours every morning from 3 to 7. Then I would get ready, go to work 8 to whenever. Teaching, it could be whenever. And then I'd come home about 8 or 9 o'clock, and I would just die and go to bed. Okay. And now I was single at the time. I didn't have kind of I just had to worry about me. So, you know, I was able to do that, but it was like, to finish this thing off, that's what I had to do. And I just, you know, so now I always get up early. It's conditioned me. But I think those are the kinds of timelines you just have to think about. But also think about it in terms of, that's the discipline. Okay, that's how you self-discipline yourself through this whole thing. Okay, goal-oriented. Okay, you have a goal in mind. We'll talk about that in a little bit. You guys, I think value in a master's in agronomy gives you value in your career. So I think you will get the payoff, whether it's monetary or just professional advancement or just being better at what you do. I think that is evident. Okay, independent. Okay, when they say this, you guys, it's not, we don't want you to be independent learners in the program, but it's an independency that, you know, you can do this kind of by yourself in your environment, because you're going to be independent, probably attacking this program when you go back to Indiana, when you go back to California, when you go back to Northeast Iowa or wherever. okay? Nobody in that vicinity might not be doing it with you. So you got to kind of think about it that way. Reflective, okay? Eric has already said, you know, reflections, 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 okay? That is pretty popular, okay? Like I say, my goal is to kind of vary that up with the faculty this year and have reflections happen in different ways. But you will always be asked to reflect around the content. You guys remember, reflection is different than summarizing, okay? I know what we did. That's not, you know, not giving an account of what you read or what you did. Reflection is really taking what you read and repurposing it almost to your understanding, okay? So always think about reflection is at a much higher level than just answering those recall questions on an exam. And I agree with you. I think graduate school will take that to another level for you. But that's what's cool. I mean, like professionally, you guys are ready for that. And the cool thing is you are going to be able to learn with everybody else because they're going to be giving life experiences on their job and what they've learned. And it's like, oh, wow, you know? And that's the cool thing, okay? So keep that in mind too. Lifelong learners, okay? Challenges, okay, now, these are the ones that we pull out of research, okay? So again, these are gonna be pretty obvious to you. What they find is that online learners are getting into an online program, you have to kind of set your learning strategies. Your learning strategies are gonna be different than when you were an undergrad. Okay, or just face-to-face, okay? You kind of knew that, okay, when I went to a class, you read it, they're gonna lecture about what I read, and then we're gonna have a test over, okay? In the online learning environment, that's gonna be very, very different because you're gonna engage in discussions, you're gonna go out to websites and find information, you're gonna have readings, you're gonna have these interactive activities, you're gonna talk to the professor, you're gonna actually talk to your classmates. It's very, very different than going to a class, taking the exam, and moving on to the next semester, okay? So kind of keep that in mind. Face-to-face is always a motivator, okay? So as much as you can get involved in face-to-face. Now face-to-face can be the Zoom kind of idea, right? So, I mean, you will still have face-to-face contact with your instructor and students and stuff in different capacities, but do keep that, you know, I keep going back to your comment, Kurt, about, you know, I want to be able to talk to my instructor if I can. You can. Just because you're displaced to someone else or someplace else doesn't mean you can't have that face-to-face contact. In fact, the technology gives that to us, okay? So we got to make sure that that's being done, okay? So it's a different type of personal contact, okay? It's just different, but it always seems to work. This is going to be highly important for you. You're going to have to, I think, self-schedule, okay? It is that idea of, okay, I'm going to fit school, I'm going to fit graduate school into my life here on these days. I know that it has to be flexible, right? We all have to be flexible. But you guys start thinking about, when are you going to do this, okay? I'm going to do it at 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock on this night and this night after I put the kids to bed. Now my wife won't like that, but you know, those are the agreements with this whole thing, okay? Or Sunday nights, but I think what you also have to do, you guys, is you need to schedule the other times too. You need to schedule and make sure, okay, no matter what, family time, I've got to do this every week, you know? And then your job, you know how that runs. I mean, that's not 8 to 5 for you guys either, okay, at all. And I know that, I realize that. You're gonna have busier seasons, you're gonna have, you know, not for all of you, but I don't know all your growing seasons and so forth, but I do know in Iowa, I mean, they're gonna get pretty busy here in September and October, right? And so and just think about that, you guys, in September and October, that's where your courses are gonna be gearing up too. So schedule time, okay? Technical challenges, you know, it's amazing. This one just gets better with time. I don't think it's as big of a challenge anymore, but you guys, whenever, ever you have a technical challenge, you know, something happened to a connection or something's not working in the course correctly or whatever, make sure, and hopefully the first person I would contact would be the instructor, probably in that case, but always keep Dawn in the loop too, because she can work behind the scenes.
We'll talk about that this afternoon. There are some feedback you can give directly from the
feedback
course
loop.
materials,
Perfect.
and there's some ways to do that.
So don't let technical challenges go on and on and on. Hopefully it's not on your side, but again, that's the other thing too. You know, I think you always have to think about a connection, you know, because all this stuff is online. So you always have to think you got to be somewhat close to a Wi-Fi, you know, some kind of a thing. Now I know when you're out in a 50-acre field, that's not always the easiest either. And not that you'll be doing it like that either, but always keep that in mind. Questions must be addressed. You guys, it's so important. Excuse me, it's so important. If you have a question, get it answered. We're gonna have to get a drink. You want to talk about it?
Sure. I'm gonna back up to the technical challenge piece of it. So if you're experienced, you can't log in, don't wait. So if you say, give it a couple tries, if it's still happening, it's probably something that we're gonna have to help you with. So don't wait a couple days and try again, or don't let a week go by. If we don't know, if Gretchen and her team don't know about it, then they can't try to resolve it. And we don't want you to feel like you're doing this on your own and get frustrated that you don't have access to the things you need in order to do what you need to do for your class. So if it's a recurring issue, you've tried one, and there are just weird things going on with the server sometimes, like you can't log in the morning, and you do try those 3 times, and then by the time we hear from you or somebody else from your class, then all of a sudden, like magic, it's working again. But we'd rather hear from you than not. So we don't want that frustration to build.
Sorry, I have a summer cold. Not really.
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna. But exactly. So ask those questions, okay? So what can you guys do? I do think being self-motivated and self-disciplined will help you in this experience. I also think reflecting on learning, okay? Again, I say reflecting as you, as a learner, you're going to get assignments. So you're going to, and this is kind of from my education background, I think more than like program evaluator, but what you want to do, you want to read your assignments, but you guys, you want to think about those. You want to think critically about them so that when you're asked to do those reflections, it's not just regurgitating it. It's really, thinking about it at a different level, okay? And that's what they're kind of asking for. Accept critical thinking and decision-making as part of the learning process. You guys are going to have to do that. You are going to have to make some decisions. You are going to have to solve some problems. Even as you think about your creative component, I know it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just starting. I don't need to think about that. You don't, but you want to kind of build an expertise that will allow you to pick a topic for that. And I think that can start as you begin your classes, okay? Use the interactive features. We've already talked about that a little bit. Again, don't, and I think, and again, why do we do this or whatever? Just make them a part of your learning experience, not just the readings, not just listening to the lectures or whatever, you know, the instructor has provided, but those interactive features too. Stay on schedule, okay? This is where you have to kind of plan ahead. You know, when you get the schedule of the class, when you get when assignments and exams and all that is going to take, you guys go back to that, you know, it's probably to type A, but, you know, get those out on your schedule. You know when your job's going to be busy, you know, plan ahead and, you know, stay on schedule with the courses. That's going to be important.
You should stay ahead of schedule
Yes.
because of those things that happen.
Yes.
You know you're going to be busy, and that's what I've fallen behind. Then I was like, I better catch up and then go ahead of schedule.
Yeah. That's why I say with the, like that whole idea about, you know, literally making time for school. It's like, if you don't do that and you wait a week and I'm just going to kind of take it off, I think you're going to drown, because it's just, you know, it's that consistent, you know, stay ahead of the game as much as you can. And like I say, that's where, you know, you kind of know your work day and stuff. When you can sneak a half an hour that, okay, maybe you guys have working lunches or something where, you know, you're in your office. If you're ever in an office, you guys might not be, but you know, you have a reading and while you're eating your lunch, you read a reading, you know, that kind of a thing might help you. Be willing to speak up if problems arise. Okay, that's highly, highly important. And when in doubt, ask. Schedule your weekly lesson times. We've said that many a time now. And keep in touch, especially with the instructor, you guys. Okay, I mean, you will with your other students, like Dawn says, opportunities that you can make connections, especially with the online in Canvas and those kinds of things. Do it, but make sure that your instructor knows you're out there and what you're doing and how you're doing. Most classes, 25 to 30.
25, we try to keep it to 25. Although we share 501 with the plant breeding program, so that class has been 30, and that's a lot, so we're trying to bump that back.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, no question is too trivial. I have people say, I don't want to bother you, this is a dumb question. No, there are no dumb questions. There are no, nothing is too big, nothing is too small to, if you feel like you need to ask it, then it's important.
Yeah.
So don't hesitate.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Okay. You guys, just a little bit of profile now, because you have a lot, and some of these are just quotes and things. You guys, in this program, this is what we see. Adults between 25 and 50, working full time, family and social commitments, have a college degree. Tuition for 1/3 of the students is typically paid by the employer. That might make you feel good or bad.
And that's changing.
But it is changing, yeah. Program eval. This is where I'll do a little bit of plug for helping us keep the program, the quality, and keeping it better. I believe when you enter the program, you might have gotten a link. My colleague Nina, she's actually in Greece right now, and put back to see family in Greece. But she's a graduate student who works for me, or works with me, not for me, works with me on this. And usually we give everybody a pre-survey. We just kind of want to get your thoughts as you enter the program. You will do a post-survey when you complete it, and we're comparing those and so forth, just for faculty and stuff in the program, people who are working within the program. The new focus group, we're going to do that here in a little bit. You always will do end of semester evaluations of the courses that you take, okay? So do take the time to fill those out, okay? You know, if there was something in it that, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, really. Don't hesitate to give feedback on those, because they are looked at and we really try to move ahead with it. Actually, this afternoon, we'll be doing a focus group with the 594 group. And so about halfway through, you'll see me again to do kind of another focus group. Okay, how is it going now? You know, 2 years or 3 years into the program. We also, after your final oral, where you will present your creative component, after that, we do an interview with every graduate to kind of get those last thoughts and everything. So you can see that we're kind of collecting things all along, and it's giving us very, very valuable information moving forward with the program. So just kind of know we're going to bug you. We would really appreciate you taking the time, because it just grows the program and the strength keeps the strength of the program. So your suggestions are taken very seriously and are used in the discussion as we keep designing the program. Okay. These, you guys, I'm just going to go ahead and you guys can read these and kind of see what students have said or the data that we have on that. But you know what? This program is highly valued by the students. So I hope you join a group that have that same perception of the program. They have greater confidence, they problem solve, the skills and knowledge are worth more income. One of the interesting findings that we do have in the program is a majority of the students are in a different position when they complete the program or they're going to a different position. So promotion is usually part of the deal. Now again, everybody maps out their life a little bit different, and I don't know if that's what you're looking for or whatever, but it has shown by our data is that readily happens with the students who complete the program. And we do see that. They receive a better job, more money, better hours, closer to home, helping get a job as a head of a crop consulting department. Resulted in a promotion. We hear that a lot, okay? So this is kind of what our graduates tell us. You know, again, I'll just let you read those. Interactive features are very useful. They learn as much or more they would on campus. They really feel that. Lessons expectations are pretty clear. That's one thing that I think every course you'll have a pretty good idea of. This is what they expect you to learn. Okay, those are set up pretty well in all the courses. Appreciate the sources of expertise. They interact with professors more than they would. So again, I would be, or you're, you know, whether it's a professor, lecturer, or whatever is teaching your course, I think you're gonna hopefully be pleasantly surprised that they're going to be a little bit more engaged in your journey in graduate school. And they appreciate the opportunity that they have to bring their professional experiences to the program. Okay, so don't ever hesitate to share your experiences. That's how others will learn. Okay. Okay, and then these the pitfalls, you guys, we've kind of gone. That's just stating it another way. Don't do those things. You know, be on the other side of that. So summary, program courseware, accessed anytime, anywhere, pretty well. You know, I think you'll find that. So plan accordingly. Interactive learning environment. But it's not interactive if you don't engage. So, you know, if everybody takes on that role of being an engaged student, that shouldn't be a problem. The interactive media, you need to stay connected to the faculty, to the students. Okay? Okay. This is I haven't ever changed this one. I think this is such a great, excellent program for expanding upon the basic agronomic knowledge and from experience gained in the working world. This program helped to take learning to a new higher level and enhances professional analytical skills for agronomists. So I think that probably says it all in one full swoop. Okay? Okay, so hopefully, again, this was more of kind of a therapeutic session for you, just to kind of think and kind of to prepare you for that online learning, because it can hit somebody right, smack in the side of the head, like, oh my gosh, is this what I signed up for? But I think you'll find it highly engaging and highly beneficial to the things that you're going to be doing.